Our town, Jamestown, was made possible by Jamestown Ice Cream and Our Tone Manufacturing, and by the members of WNED. Thank you. On a crisp October day in 2003, a group of community volunteers from Jamestown, New York, came together with their camcorders and spent the day videotaping the people, places, and happenings of the Jamestown area. They came back with some fascinating pictures and wonderful stories. This is Our Town, Jamestown.
My name is Dan Swackhammer. I'm a resident of Jamestown for the past 25 years. The topic I chose was the urban landscape, if you will, within the area. Jamestown has been a tree city since 1980, 81, 82, somewhere right around there. And when you drive around, you can see that they really take the trees, they really take the nature aspect of the city quite seriously. They have a small parks department that does a lot. The trees are quite important to Jamestown as well, because Jamestown was originally a manufacturing place for furniture. So when people came to town, there were great stands of trees. So a lot was cut down to make furniture, a lot was cut down to make the pearl ash. Jamestown used to be known as the Pearl City because it manufactured pearl ash to make glass with. One of the things they did years ago was establish a park system of urban parks. We have parks all throughout the area that range from small little pocket parks at a corner to large parks such as Allen Park or Bergman Park. Allen Park was one of our earliest parks that we had in town, and it actually had an old-style brick swimming pool in it. I've lived in a larger city. I travel a lot of larger cities, and one of the things that makes a real difference is being able to see nature throughout the city at the same time. One of the areas I went to was the old boat landing that they had in Jamestown, and we used to have steamers that plied up and down the lakes, and they would come down the outlet and end up at the boat landing. We also have a river that runs through Jamestown. It's called the Chattacoin River. One of the nicest streets to walk down here is 5th Street. As you go down, 5th Street has a library on it, has a couple of the old mansions. We have some gorgeous old mansions in town. And some of the oldest trees are along that way as well. And when you go at sunrise, the sun's coming in at just an angle on that street, just right, where the colors and the lighting are just absolutely beautiful. Another area I went to was West 3rd Street. West 3rd Street is one of the areas where the old original stands of trees still exist. And we're talking trees with a big trunk to them and big canopy that goes across the roadway. To add to that, we have brick roads that just add to beauty, especially this time of year. I've been involved for over 25 years in the Jamestown Boys and Girls Club. They say one of the ways you can measure the quality of the people is by the way they treat their children. There's a special concern around here for making sure that the kids are raised properly and given all the opportunities they can. So they have a new computer center down there that they've just put together to try to teach the kids how to use computers in predominantly an artistic way. They're teaching them photography through the computers, they're teaching them printing, they're teaching them all sorts of things along those ways. They have the Arts and Crafts Center. They were threading beads on the day that I was there and having a great old time. The traditional game room where they could play pool or play foosball and all that. But the focus of the Boys and Girls Club down here really seems to be around the pool. And it was great seeing some of the kids, you know, the big old wide eyes as they're dunking themselves under for the first time, or the joy on their face when they realize they just were able to make it across the pool. You run into a lot of organizations where they serve kids and at the same time serve other audiences. And the Boys and Girls Club has never been about that. They've always been about serving the kids.
My name is Dave Spoitala, and I've lived in Jamestown since 1978. The Jamestown Generating Plant is one of the oldest successfully operated municipal plants in the United States. It has among the lowest rates in the entire country. The Samuel Carlson Generating Plant is located right in the middle of Jamestown, New York. But once you are inside the behemoth, so to speak, that's a pretty awesome experience, you know, because of the magnitude and the size of the equipment and the noise level that's going on. In Jamestown, electric is generated in two ways, one by coal and the other by a gas turbine engine. The generating plant operates on coal-fired boilers, which create steam, which then generates electricity, for the city of Jamestown. I was able to ascend to the top of the generating plant, which gave me a vista, I think, that an eagle, would be envious of. The Jamestown BPU not only delivers power in the city, but it also maintains the infrastructure. One of the unique elements of the governing of this electric utility is the fact that there are citizens that are on the board. They have created a park, Panzarella Park, which is dedicated in the memory of one of the citizen board members. We've also inaugurated in Jamestown a citywide recycling program. I think the Jamestown BPU is an integral part of not only the past of Jamestown, but also the future.
My name is Sam Qadri. I have been in Jamestown 8 years now. It shows the topic pertaining to cultures in Jamestown. Culture comes from values of faith. So there is a new seed being planted, per se, in Jamestown. There are new faces. You start driving south, coming from Route 60 and entering the city, you see the city of Jamestown signs, welcome to Jamestown. And you drive less than a quarter of a mile in distance, the first thing you see is Jamestown Islamic Society. And it has become a center of learning and information and ambassadorship. Right next door to that, exactly 2 houses down, you see the Church of God. 3 houses down, you see the Latin American Church. Right next door to that is the Holy Family Catholic Church. Approximately a block up the street, the First Methodist Church. Then down the street, St. Luke's Church. And then St. Peter's and Paul's, the Greek Orthodox Church. Right next door, almost within the same block, of the Jewish synagogue. And now I'm talking here within probably less than a mile of a distance from each other. To me, this is the new face of Jamestown, or the 20 years from now, my children are growing up, and the other children of my community are growing up in this environment that is conducive to tolerance, conducive to affection and love and care, and from what we've witnessed so far from our new city and where we're residing now. And it's a beautiful place to be in, and that's what I see.
My name is Dan Walter, and been a lifelong resident of the immediate area, actually from Frewsburg. I covered the theaters in Jamestown. Jamestown Community College's Charmin Theater. They typically perform 2 shows a year there, using mostly college students. While I was filming, there was an actual college class going on, learning how to operate all the pieces and parts of a theater. In the costume room, I found somebody preparing costumes for their upcoming show. There's a woodworking room where they can build all their sets and props right there and then just move them 30 feet to the right and they're on the stage. The Bunbury Theater was established in November of 2001, so it's usually the newest theater in town. It is in a basement. As soon as you walk in, you kind of get the feeling this is a unique place. This is expressing a certain culture in our town. Everything you'd expect them to be for an underground theater. Then we went to the Reg Linné. It was originally built in the 1800s. 1990, it reopened as the Reg Linné Civic Center. It took $3.5 million to renovate it, to bring it to where it's at now. And immediately you'll notice the architecture, because it's stunning. It's very intricate. It's amazing. It's hard to watch anything else when you get in and you start looking at the ceiling and looking at the walls to see the designs. Lucille Ball actually That's where she basically became addicted to theater. She went every Saturday with her grandfather and would go home and reenact everything that she saw. They are mostly concert performances, but they do occasionally have plays, dramas. There's actually a church that has their services there on Sunday mornings. One of the walls on the outside of the property was crumbling, and once they started to take it the rest of the way down, they got beyond the outer wall to the inner wall, and they found actual 7-foot-tall posters of Buffalo Bill and his roadshow. I've been to these theaters before and never really taken the time to discover all the cool little facts and nooks and crannies of each place. The history that's behind them is amazing.
Hi, I'm Emily Morton. I'm a 10th grader at Jamestown High School. I've lived in Jamestown for about 6 years now. The topics that I covered were video works and teen TV. Video works is basically a class that you can take at the high school as a student. It combines technology, English, and art into one class. And Teen TV is an after-school program headed up by the Arts Council here in Jamestown, through which teens around the area of Jamestown can make and produce their own videos that actually get aired on Time Warner. You can't find a class like Video Works anyplace else. There are some other teen TV places, but Jamestown's really set apart with it.
I'm David Brocious, and I've been living here practically all my life, which is about 15 years. I just basically went to the skate park. A lot of kids in this town are real heavily into extreme sports like rollerblading, skateboarding, BMXing, that kind of stuff. So I think it's a pretty big thing in Jamestown.
My name is Uma Bejenwa. I moved here from New Jersey about 3.5 years ago. Well, I went to cover the Fenton History Center. It used to be Governor Fenton, one of the governors of New York. He was from Jamestown. He built a Victorian house. And what they've done is they've refurbished a lot of the rooms, the living areas where he used to live with his family, and just to bring awareness about what Jamestown used to be like. First room I went into was the formal sitting area. It's a great old Victorian room with deep colors like reds and the ornate walls, that paintings on the actual ceiling. I had portraits of both Governor Fenton and his daughter. Old beautiful Victorian furniture, beautiful marble fireplace. The drawing room was more formal, and the children weren't allowed in there. But the family room was where the children sat with the parents. There was also a piano in there. There were that's where they would read the newspaper. They're in the process of putting up a Christmas exhibit, and that's where they have a upside-down Christmas tree. The Queen Victoria, apparently, she liked to do things like that. Apparently, this was a very active army base at one time. There were a lot of people from this area that served in the Civil War, and World War I, and World War II. The nanny's room. The nanny that's where she would stay with the children, and they had some really neat things that we think that were invented just recently. But they had like a walker that we have now with the wheels that go around the place. They had one of those. Exhibit of toys. There was an old Monopoly set. They had Chinese checkers. They had a Ouija board. A couple toys actually that were manufactured locally in Falconer, and just I guess all the toys that through the years children have played with and they're still playing with today. There's a room in the house called the Tower, and it has a 360-degree view of Jamestown. The lake room was a room dedicated to Chautauqua Lake and all the activities that they had around Chautauqua Lake, especially like Celeron and Lakewood, that area. It was very active. It used to be a big resort draw in the summertime. In the basement, they were setting up an Italian Christmas, how when the Italians first immigrated to Jamestown, how they celebrated some of the traditions they brought from Italy to Jamestown, and they kept them up. And so they had this one room that would be like when they first settled here. They still have a library. They have a very big, a lot of history of Jamestown is in there, and also people actually request information about their family history, and they will help whoever requests it to research the family. It builds a little bit of pride in Jamestown. For me, it was nice to see all the accomplishments of people that were from Jamestown and their legacy that has lived on.
My name is Mary Madison, and I was born here in Jamestown, New York in 1963, and I've lived here all my life. I chose the Lucille Ball Little Theater Junior Guilders because I think our children are just outstanding, and they really present a wonderful view of what Jamestown is all about. They've been performing on stage at Chautauqua as backup singers to the group ABBA. They performed last Christmas in Branson, Missouri with Mel Tillis at the Mel Tillis Theater for the community Christmas program. They've performed for the White House. They performed at Disney World. The list is so long, I have trouble coming up with them all. I chose the topic Lucy Desi because Lucy is someone that's known worldwide. Right at any moment of any day, a Lucy show is playing somewhere in the world. Well, I started out at the museum, and the museum had just a host of information. It took you right through Lucy's childhood, through her film career, her radio career, her television career, all the way up until she passed away. I never would have expected on an off Saturday in October to find so many people browsing through the museum. There was a nice display about Lucy and her family. There was a nice family photograph that hung in her house of she, Desi, and the two kids. And one of the things that was very interesting was that Lucy was pregnant during the show, and she was the first person to be pregnant on a TV show. Lucy has been on TV Guide more than any other person or group ever. Their studio was one of the first that was built to provide room and access for a live audience. They also used 3 cameras when they were filming, which at that time was unheard of. All the films were done with 1 camera. But they decided they really wanted multiple images being shot at the same time, and it just gave such a better depth to the program, and that's the way we do things today. The gift shop has the most beautiful dolls that you could ever imagine. Lucy's father died when she was very small. I believe she was about 4, and she was brought up by her grandparents in Celeron, New York. And she grew up on 8th Street, which is now called Lucy Lane. She has had such a wonderful impact on everyone throughout the world, and that she came from our small little community and grew up here, and we just love her.
Good evening, I'm Ron Santora, joined by John Brandt and Cynthia Dwyer, who will be with us in just a moment. We have an incredibly special night tonight. Our Town, Jamestown. It's the first Our Town production of WNED. And John, you're the head of our production department here. John brought the idea for doing these here. Tell us about it. What's going on?
Well, we borrowed the idea from other public TV stations who have made this an integral part of the way they serve their diverse communities. It's a great way for us to reach out to the many small towns and communities throughout western New York and southern Ontario and profile them. And what we really do is we make the producers of these programs the people in the towns themselves. Some of them are here tonight answering phones, folks from the Jamestown area. We'd love you to call in right now. If you're from Jamestown and you're feeling a lot of local pride right now, having watched that first segment of this program, we need to hear from you. All the folks in Jamestown are the people we're talking to tonight. And we really want to hear your call, your pledge. Call and get a copy of the VHS and DVD, and Cynthia will be telling you more about that in just a moment. But the key for us is we're testing a new idea. We're trying to see if the Our Town concept will work here in Buffalo, and we need to hear from everybody throughout our area.
Council for Chautauqua County, they wanted the arts to have a big place in Jamestown. And so that's what that block is now. It's sort of Greenwich Village, Jamestown. It's got big theater, and it's got lots of, it's got a music studio for kids, and it's got a video studio. It's got the Arts Council, and it's got low-income housing, and it's got artist lofts. It's got a coffee house. Very important place in Jamestown for many people.
This block to me means infinity because it's growing and it's flourishing, and it's going to be great, and it's the start of a new downtown Jamestown.
We're the place for the arts thrive.
Such a great art center for such a small town.
Entertainment district, shopping district, restaurants. It's alive.
I've been a part of high school musicals, and we did a lot of work at the Reginald Nice Civic Center, so it's been nice to be down here and be able to give back a little bit to what we've been a part of.
It's home. I like coming here because I meet up family and friends.
I don't know of another town where that strange and wonderful collection of relaxed and tolerant people inhabit, live and work, and frequent the businesses on just one little block.
My name is Christine Emo, and I've lived in Jamestown for 23 years.
My name's Will Emo, and I've lived in Jamestown for 14 years.
Family-owned stores was our topic. We started at Montagna's on Foote Avenue. Montagna's is a new and used furniture store, and they have everything there. They call it the Snooper's Paradise, and it's a lot of fun to walk around. It's owned by the second generation of Montagna's. As far as we know, Jones Bakery is one of the oldest businesses in Jamestown still in operation. It was started in 1909 by Frank Jones. It is currently being run by the third generation. However, Richard Jones, the second generation, still works there, and the fourth generation works there.
The Chautauqua Music was started in 1973, and then John Davis bought it in 1974, and his wife and him own it to this day. Mostly guitars and amps and just accessories.
Homeland's it was started in 1929 by Ivar and Elverna Homeland. Elverna's daughter, Bonnie, took it over, and she is currently owning it, and her daughter and son, Lynn and Mike Conlin, run it. And it is located in one of the oldest buildings in Jamestown. They have a nice selection of wallpaper and paint and a lot of home decorating things that it's nice to see still in a small store.
Suburban Blend was started in 1998, and Scott and Sue Harding own it. It's a skateboarding and snowboarding shop.
Landers. It was started by Jack Lander in 1952, and it is currently owned by Cliff and Ann Powers. Cliff Powers actually worked for the Landers. It was started as the Adams Hats, and then Mr. Lander bought it from Adams Hat. Mr. Powers worked for him, and then he bought it. Craft Roll and Action Hobbies on 3rd Street in Jamestown. It was started by Terry and Zoanne Moeller in 1975, and is now owned by their son, Greg Moeller. They have a lot of just about every craft item that you can think of. Brijota's Farmland. Started in 1924 by Anthony and Josephine Brijota. It started as just a grocery store. And then they added the deli, but when they moved to this location, they were able to add the greenhouse and do all of the produce, the fresh produce, and the garden center. So it's currently owned by the third generation. Carnahan's was founded in 1924 by Dalton Harold and Clyde L. Carnahan. They bought the Carr Brothers business, and that was located in the Arcade Building downtown. And in 1975, Paul Sandberg bought it, and his son, Dale, took it over when he passed away a couple years ago. You can't walk down the street in Jamestown without coming across a family-owned store. And I just think that it shows a real sense of family and togetherness in the city.
My name's Tom Franco, and I've been a lifelong resident for 55 years, and born and bred right here. Well, on any given day in the city of Jamestown, sports are a big thing. Saturdays especially. Yeah, first thing this morning, bright and early, I got a little early start, went to the Y, and a lot of intrinsic sports were going on. People were jogging, and a little bit of basketball going on, and a lot of cardiovascular, and it was neat because the swimming program with the babies were on at the same time. It was a fun start. From that point, I just went to the boys' club, and they had flag football first thing. It was neat. They started about 10 o'clock. So we got a little bit of flag football at the Boys and Girls Club. After that, I drove up the road to Strider Field, which is the home of Jamestown Red Raiders. And the band was preparing for halftime and so on, and it was neat because the kids were out there doing exercises. Yeah, I headed out to Gaffer Adams' Karate Academy. He had a novice class and a belted class going on at the same time. So he allowed me to get into the dojo, and we filmed the novice class doing their exercises, and the belted class were doing their katas. Well, I headed over to Jamestown Savings Bank Ice Arena, and there was a lot going on. There were figure skaters practicing for the up-and-coming regionals coming up this week here at the arena, and also there was a junior Bantam hockey game going on. Saturday's a big day in town. Sports go from all the way through the junior high kids and the kids at the boys club to Jamestown Red Raider football, and there was a home game today. It was fun. Jamestown hosted Clarence coming down in the AA division of Western New York football. A little bit afternoon, stopped by to the boys club just to see what else was happening. A bunch of different age children enjoying the pool for open swim, and I took a walk upstairs to the gymnasium to see what was going on. It was open gym, so it's just unbelievable. From sunrise to sunset today on a given Saturday in Jamestown, sports are important.
My name is Danielle Bonovich, and I've lived in Jamestown pretty much all my life.
My name is Joanne Blankenship, and I've lived in Jamestown for 4 years.
Our topic is the food of Jamestown.
We went to Taco Hut. It's a Mexican restaurant. We showed where the people eat in the front of the facility. Then we went to Jake's Grill. It's a place you go to get basically anything you would at a cookout.
Then we went to Napoli's. It's an Italian restaurant. They sell pizza, chicken wings, French fries. I think they had chicken fingers. Yeah, just a little Italian restaurant. It's really cute. We went to Chinatown. It's a Chinese restaurant. They have all kinds of different foods. They had this huge buffet out there and things, so it's pretty cool. And then they had the seating area. We went to Nana's Deli, and we got to see making hot dogs and subs.
There's a lot to offer in Jamestown. Their food is great. There's a lot of restaurants that people would enjoy.
I'm Kelsey Hoffler. I'm 14 years old. I've lived in Jamestown my whole life. Actually, I started yesterday at the high school. I had my videography class that I taped.
Hurry, grab your thing. The mountains are collapsing and causing an avalanche. George, don't just stand there. Get Bobby. We have to get out of here.
Where's Bobby?
Dear me, he's out front.
Truly riveting. You might want to develop some things a little more, and also you might want to strive for a little more consistency within some of the writing.
As you can see on my list, we have a lot of schools in Jamestown, and I think it's really important because we go there and it's like a great day there. Like, we enjoy being there. It's important just because kids need their education.
Lee Harkness. I work with I'm the administrator for Downtown Jamestown Development Corporation. And as far as my connection to Jamestown, I always lived out in the rural areas of Chautauqua County. And as I was a kid and as I was going to school, Jamestown was always the place to come. The topic I had was downtown issues and downtown development. And I kind of broke it down into 3 areas. We have new buildings downtown. We have buildings that have been, the facades have been replaced. We have, right now, over 20 new small businesses that have come to the downtown. And then the third part is our events, which last year we had over 40 great events downtown. Probably the biggest event that we do all year is the Alltel Holiday Parade.
Also, Jamestown Red Raider Marching Band, they are New York State champions. Let's hear it for them.
This event is so big that one problem we have is getting the parade through the people. Jamestown is very picturesque on 3rd Street, and we have the Arts Council in their buildings and the Lucien Desi Museum, and we've had over $40 million of private money invested in downtown Jamestown, and then the city has invested several million in the infrastructure part of that. People are seeing the value in having a business downtown now because of the increased revitalization efforts that we've had. And we've got, we've had flower shops, we've had little grocery stores, cell phone stores, computer stores. Jamestown is a creative community, and it's a great place to live, work, and play.
I'm Mike Subject. I'm 22, and I've lived here my whole life. Cemetery, Lakeview Cemetery. It's basically the first thing you hit when you come into Jamestown. Can't miss it. It's really hilly and all sorts of beautiful monuments, like things I've never seen before, all kinds of statues. It's beautiful in the fall with all the foliage and stuff. Basically, that's what I was filming here, the monuments. Like there's something that's called the Lady in the Glass Case. It's, I don't know, like urban legend is that she died on her wedding day. It must be a war monument. Again, I really don't know the history of a lot of them. It's black, it's like a headstone, but it's like tilted. So it almost makes a diamond shape, and just all kinds of neat monuments, all kinds of statues and stuff. We also filmed it, just drove around like the perimeter of it just to give an idea of how large it really is. Just some of the monuments are really beautiful and really worth checking out. Big part of the town just because, yeah, I mean, it's part of Jamestown's history.
I'm Greg Peterson. I'm an attorney in Jamestown. I am the president of the board of the Robert H. Jackson Center. The center is designed to preserve the legacy of Justice Robert Jackson, a local story of a person who gained many qualities from living here to play on a very national and international stage. And in 1934, Robert Jackson was asked to go to Washington. So after 20 years of practice here, he decided to move to Washington. He was general counsel for what is now known as the Internal Revenue Service, and had the opportunity to prosecute Andrew Mellon successfully. And as a result of his work there, subsequently rose through the public sector to become Assistant Attorney General, Solicitor General, Attorney General. In 1941 was nominated by President Roosevelt to become a member of the Supreme Court. He was confirmed. In 1945 and 1946, he was appointed by President Truman to go to Nuremberg and was the chief American prosecutor of the war criminals. He left a legacy which is being played out today in the Supreme Court, as well as international law. Yesterday, we were privileged to have the inaugural Bible come in from New York City. St. John's Lodge #1 of the Masonic Order owns the Bible upon which George Washington took the oath of office.
When he said, "So help me God," he added that to the oath of office. It's not in the Constitution, and every president since then has always said the same.
The Kappa Theater is a 200-seat theater which was built originally in 1925, and on the walls are 22 pictures that were taken by the official Nuremberg photographer Ray Diodario. Well, we've also included in the basement of this facility an archway which apparently was part of a tunnel which led from the front part of this house on 4th Street across 4th Street over to a church which is catty corner here, which has caused a great deal of interest. The Robert H. Jackson Center, within a very short period of time, has been part of a renaissance. And I think it's an opportunity for us to see that Jamestown is vibrant, that there is from its past something which is relevant today, and something which is relevant not only to our local region, but also on a national level.
My name is John Courtwright, and I'm a resident for 22 years here in Jamestown.
And I'm Adam Courtwright, and I'm a lifelong resident of Jamestown.
Lucille Ball Theater wasn't always called that. The Little Theater was actually the Players Club. Started in 1920, just a group of community people wanted to do something more with the theater. And from that stage it grew, and in 1929, Lucille Ball actually got her first on-stage shot. One thing unique about the Little Theater is that it's one of the largest community membership theaters in the country. Money for the running theater is from the people, the community. We got there early so we could see the stage crew working on setting up the stages, doing some last-minute details. The kids actually took us on our personal tour, and they were so energetic. Even before the show, I guess if it was tension or whatever, but they were just so happy to see people recording them, and they took us around to the costumes rooms. They told us that the shoe warehouse was haunted.
Well, there's the green room backstage and the makeup room, and all of the people who are in the play do their own makeup and their own costumes. Being backstage during the actual play is very exciting because there's so much, there's people with headsets, and it's very, very much professional about it.
Yeah.
Am I to trust the ruler of Burma? Am I to trust this present he sent me, or is she a spy?
People that were in the production, all of them, like I mentioned earlier, were all volunteers from the community. But the thing that struck me is all of them it was very professionally done production.
The Little Theater considers itself an umbrella for the artistic community, letting different groups come in, perform. And one of the things they do is for every production, one painter brings in their artwork and puts it on the wall in the lobby.
Everywhere you go in the theater, there's always a picture of Lucille Ball with somebody famous, Milton Berle or Red Skelton or Bob Hope. And I find that tremendously inspirational, and probably also for the actors too, just looking at all this, because this is where she was born and raised, and to be a part of that history must have been very uplifting and inspirational for the actors involved.
I'm Sue Ellen Carlson. I've lived in Jamestown now for 10 years. I grew up in northwestern Pennsylvania. My topic is music in the community, the mentoring that goes on between adults and young people is something that I haven't seen in any other place that we've lived. Suzuki in Jamestown goes from kindergarten to 4th grade. And in every elementary school, children can choose to play Suzuki strings, whether it's violins or cellos. In all of the middle schools are bands and orchestras. I taped the Washington Middle School Orchestra. The Marvelous Melodious Music Makers are a group of 3 women who reside in the Lutheran Retirement Home who play chimes. They rehearse once a week, and they've been able to go out to schools and to senior centers. The drum table is a large, round table that reverberates when you touch it, so that people in nursing homes are able to, either with their hands or with mallets, play this table. The Music Babies is a program for moms and their babies to sing and do rhythm instruments and dance. The Golden Chimers are a group of older adults at Lutheran Retirement Home. Brian Bogey is the organist at Zion Covenant Church in Jamestown. And this particular taping was with 3 men who enjoy singing together. I was at Purcell Middle School with Janine James, who's the general music teacher there. And as I watched the group of young people at the middle school at Purcell dance, they were so serious in doing the marionette dancing and the dance macabre, and they were interested in their body movements and their dance and doing the percussion instruments, and there was no noise, there was no talking. They obviously were having a great time. Nancy Gaden is a volunteer who goes to all the nursing homes and plays the piano. But more than that, more than her performance, she involves everyone in the room. There is so much here, and I think what I learned the most was how seriously adults take passing on music to younger people. Music is something that touches our hearts from the very youngest person to the very oldest person.
We hope that you're enjoying our town, Jamestown, as much as we are here in the studio.
By Jamestown Savings Bank Ice Arena and Our Tone Manufacturing, and by the members of WNED. Thank you.
I'm Ed Thomasini. I've lived in Jamestown for 36 of my 48 years. The topic that I chose was artists and artisans working and living in Jamestown. Started out with David Poulin, who is a bronze sculptor. And he's moved to Jamestown, and he's creating bronze sculptures that are literally being installed all over the country. First of all, the process that he goes through to create a sculpture, beginning with the clay models, where he's actually taking the raw clay and sculpting it into a form. And then he goes through and makes a plaster mold. That plaster mold then becomes the mold in which the bronze is poured. Then he has these sections of torsos. You'll see arms and legs and heads laying all around his shop in these rough bronze castings. Then they're all assembled together, and he welds them and grinds them and turns them into finished pieces. As he captured motion in these still life sculptures. I mean, you can just imagine these people being alive and being active in the poses that he has them in. It's Susan DiVincenzo. What she has done is taken a trade that used to be really the mainstay of Jamestown's economy, which is the furniture industry, and carried that trade, that skilled trade, forward through today and make these surfaces look like glass or marble or other types of material that you'd never know they were wood. And then she also goes through and will detail the furniture with this very fine painting technique. Last guy is Michael Flaxman. He takes wood and turns it into almost anything you can imagine. One of his interests is he's making birdhouses. But they aren't the typical birdhouses. They're birdhouses that are modeled after Russian architecture, but they're fully functional. Michael's also about to become a grandfather for the first time. And so another project that he had going in his workshop when I visited him was a series of building blocks that he's making for his grandson to be. Jamestown is a place where an artist can come and work and live and survive with some success.
I'm Kate Hill. I've lived in Jamestown since 1990. And this is my daughter, Kyla. She was born in 1992 here in Jamestown, and she's been here ever since. We chose the skating programs that go on at the new ice rink. And it's important to the town because it serves all the kids in the area. There's probably 500 kids in Jamestown who are involved in the skating programs, both between hockey and the figure skating program. And not only is it just the kids, they have adult leagues in hockey and adult skating classes, and they even have a seniors skating program as well.
Yeah, called the Silver Blade.
Yes, and so the programs down there basically give everybody an opportunity to get some good exercise and have some fun. The brand new arena was opened on August 14th in 2002. Rink A is the big rink with all the seating in it, and there's balcony seating, and that's where the competitions and the big hockey games and the big doings go on. And then on the other side of that is what they call Rink B, which is a smaller rink and probably has seating for probably about 250 people on benches up top. That's where a lot of the practices go on. There's a hockey program which runs from kids 3 years old all the way up to high school seniors with adult leagues. They have 6 different levels just for the kids to play. They've had quite a few state championships as well. The little kids are fun to watch. And then there's the figure skating program, which is comprised of many, many facets. And there's also what they call the Skating Academy, which is once you get a little bit better, you can go on to really get some intense training by some pretty famous coaches.
It was extremely fun watching the little skaters skate through the point of view of the camera.
There was a lot of excitement going on at the rink because the North Atlantic Regional Skating Championships is coming to Jamestown. There's going to be over 400 skaters coming from all over the Northeast. And it's amazing coming from a little tiny town like this that we could put out a skating program that puts out international gold medalists and Olympic hopefuls.
Hello, my name is Quinn Anderson. I've actually resided permanently in Jamestown since about 1987. Actually, I was selected to cover the Jamestown Municipal Police and Fire Departments. Beneath City Hall is where Jamestown Police Department and Jamestown Fire Station number 1 are housed. I was greeted by an officer, Jinko, and he took me to all the command room, communications and dispatch, the firing range, and I took some shots of all of the departmental signs and some group pictures of officers past and present. I also got some shots of patrol cars and the parking area or the bays where they store the patrol cars. I don't think it will necessarily surprise anybody as far as what the police department has inside, but the important thing is that they actually get a close-up look at it. I started with the exterior of the fire station, and then I shot a historic fire station bell in the main garage in Station 1, which houses a ladder truck. A 105-foot has a 105-foot aerial ladder. They have a command car with a senior officer, an ambulance. They also have a flag car which transports EMTs and firefighters to and fro. I got a shot of a guy coming down a pole, did a spin when he was coming down. And then I moved on, I believe, to the kitchen area where a lot of the firefighters work today. It's probably not just an important part of Jamestown, New York, but of all cities. And I think that's for obvious reasons. You have to have police to maintain order and enforce laws. You have to have firemen to put out fires.
My name is Dave Overcash. I'm a financial advisor in town here. I was trying to capture some of the outdoor activities that we have in the area. We have beautiful nature in and around the area, both inside and outside the city limits. We have a lake that gives us a lot of summer activity, a lot of enjoyment with the fishing and boating that we have there. Also, we have some famous people that brought naturalism to the forefront of America. Roger Torrey Peterson Institute is a monument to Roger Torrey Peterson that was originally from Jamestown and became the most world-famous ornithologist. His field guide was the first that began documenting the different species of birds all across America and the world. On the outside, they have trails. They have a pond area. You can walk through there. You can bike through there. And so it's a very nice place that you can experience nature right in town. The Audubon Nature Preserve is another place in the area where you can go to experience nature. They have different exhibits that do change, and we have a lot of people from the area and from out of the area that will come. The eagle is called Liberty. She was actually wounded in nature, was deemed to be not able to survive in nature on her own. Through donations in the area, they built a sanctuary for the eagle where she'll continue to reside for the rest of her life. Jamestown was ranked the #1 golf town in America. That is due to the number and quality of courses that we have. We have plenty of skiing, plenty of snowmobiling that people like to do. We also have, during the fall, just beautiful foliage, so it's great to be able to get out on some four-wheelers or walking through the forests. The quality of life in Jamestown is tremendous. You can do anything here that you'd be able to do in any other place, and a lot of things that you couldn't.
My name is Steve Johnson, born and raised here. I'm retired from the Jamestown Police Department. 5 years with the Stock County Sheriff's Department, and except for a few times out of the area when I was in the Marines, I've always lived here. My topic was the Bust-Eye Cider Mill. They get about 30 bus tours per season. They get about 30 school bus tours. They've had individual visitors come in there from Germany, South Africa. It's quite an international destination. The apples are brought in just in boxes and barrels and so forth from local orchards. A lot of it comes from their own trees, and it's a mixture of apples. There's red, yellow delicious, Cortland, McIntosh, Empire, whatever's basically available. There's no one particular mix for cider. That's kind of what gives it the unique taste of it. Is it is a mix of whatever. They even throw in an occasional pear for a little sweetness. Once up to the second floor of the mill, it goes on to actually the third floor, the attic, which is where the chopper drum is. It drops down a chute onto a platform. They lay down one rack. There's a rectangular frame about 4 feet by 4 feet, lays on top of that. Then over that is spread, it's a special kind of filtering cloth. The chute from the chopper is open. Down comes what they refer to as the pumice. That drops into this prepared framework. He spreads it around with a shovel, flattens it out, folds the cloth, the filtering cloth, back over it, removes the square frame that holds it in place. So once he gets the layers built up, he manually pushes this big turntable around 180 degrees. The press comes down, begins to press, and the cider just gushes. You would not believe how much comes out of there. A single pressing, 4 or 5 layers, is about 20 bushels of apples. From that one pressing, they get about 60 gallons of cider. And it's just an amber river running into a bathtub, which has plumbing and so forth that goes to a big old wooden vat. And that fills up, and when that gets full enough, there's plumbing that goes back down and out to the first ground floor. And just by gravity feed, they have a series of faucets down there where they fill the gallon jugs, cap them, put labels on them, they're ready to go. While the press is coming down again, he takes these cloth straining cloths with the mashed pumice, and that's taken outside to a sort of just a platform, and he dumps it there, shovels it off into a conveyor belt, which goes down back right towards almost where the apples first came in, off into just a farm wagon, which he will then, when that's full, hook his tractor to and take it out and just spread it around the field. And I asked him if that was a form of fertilizer, if it would work well for that, and he said, no, it's too sour. But the deer, it's candy to the deer. Every Friday, right in downtown Jamestown, there's a farmer's market, and they're one of the major contributors to that. The cider that you buy in a store is primarily apple juice. That's really what it is, especially if you get a chance to taste real cider. It's very hands-on, it's very simple, and it's about as pure a product as you can find.
I'm Chris Weissard. I've lived in Jamestown pretty much my whole life. I moved around a little bit. I've been back here about 10 years. My topic was architecture. I tried to limit it to kind of downtown, which is where you'll find probably the most varied architecture and the oldest architecture. There's a definite feel when you're downtown, depending on which street you're on. There's not a lot of new construction that goes on, and when there is, they try to fit the style so that it blends in. So what you have is this nice, older-looking community that, is a functioning city, cleverly disguised as something you might see on a postcard. There's areas that I've always been very fond of. There's a chunk of 4th Street where it actually reminds me a lot of the East Village in New York. And if you're looking for more of an urban feel, that tends to be where people gravitate toward. And they're wonderful old buildings. 3rd Street is kind of, it's the first street you think of when you think of being downtown. That's sort of where the arts have gravitated in town. Main Street is almost entirely retail. That's probably the second street that people think of when they think of downtown. First Street's interesting because it's industrial space that some has been converted into retail space, some of it's still industrial space, and it's right downtown. And from the back side of it, you have this strange kind of Dickensian-looking factory district, and then from the front side of it, you've got these nicely designed, well-thought-out facades that don't look very industrial. Another thing you'll see a lot of in this town is they'll take a new business or something that's a little more high-tech or something that's just starting out, and they'll try to fit it into an older building. And Time Warner Cable is interesting because it's an old factory. It's nice to be able to keep that old look and still have a functioning high-tech company inside it. There's a sound that when you drive over those bricks, I mean, you know where you are. Anybody who was born and raised here or lived here for a long time, the brick streets are the thing that probably reminds them the most that they're in Jamestown, and they're laid by hand. Everybody's got a relative who had some part in laying these brick streets by hand, and over the years we've tried to pave over them, thinking somehow that we were going to improve on it, but you'll see pavement that's completely worn away after maybe 2 years. And there's brick that's been there for, maybe 100 years, sitting there showing through, and it's fun. And it's kind of special. I mean, you don't see that in a lot of other places.